Stick around as we unpack the jaw-dropping moment when Nigel Farage turned the tables live on air, leaving the audience astonished and the presenter scrambling to keep up. Trust me, this breakdown of one of the most unforgettable political interviews in recent memory is something you won't want to miss. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on those notifications. If you're into gripping stories, political drama, and sharp analysis, you found the right channel. Nigel Farage has always been a divisive figure in British politics, but his latest appearance on live television has elevated his notoriety to new heights. Renowned for his forthrightness and fearless opinions, Farage entered what many assumed would be a challenging interview setting. The presenter came prepared with pointed questions, but what unfolded was nothing short of a masterclass in political agility. Farage wasn't just responding to queries, he was steering the entire discussion. His composed, assertive approach transformed a potentially tense exchange into a demonstration of his ability to stay unshaken under pressure. From the outset, it was clear Farage was in charge, while the hosts struggled to regain their footing. Then came the Trump question. The most explosive moment of the interview occurred when the presenter zeroed in on Farage's association with Donald Trump, a subject bound to provoke strong reactions. Farage didn't shy away. Instead, he tackled the issue head-on. He passionately defended his relationship with Trump, highlighting the economic and diplomatic advantages it had brought. Rather than deflect criticism, he confronted it directly, using examples of how Trump's policies on global trade and security aligned with British interests. When the host attempted to frame this connection as a liability, Farage flipped the narrative. He argued that robust US-UK ties are essential, and that aligning with leaders who prioritize national interests is a pragmatic move. His confident delivery left the host visibly flustered and kept viewers glued to their screens. What makes Farage stand out? This interview showcased what many regard as Farage's greatest strength: authenticity. In a political landscape often dominated by rehearsed soundbites, his unscripted and genuine style was a refreshing change. His answers weren't just well-crafted, they were thoughtful, candid, and relatable. Farage spoke like someone who truly believed in his principles, and that resonated with the public. Social media erupted with praise, with comments like, "Finally, a politician who's unafraid to be honest," and "Farage speaks from the heart, not a script." This kind of genuineness is becoming increasingly rare in today's political landscape, which is why Nigel Farage continues to connect with so many people. The public is tired of being fed hollow promises, and Farage's plain-speaking style stands in sharp contrast to the political status quo. One of the most compelling aspects of this interview was the interplay between Farage and the host. While the presenter attempted to steer the conversation with quick-fire questions and sharp criticisms, Farage was unwavering. When confronted with contentious topics, he didn't falter or evade. Instead, he leaned into the dialogue, turning every attempted challenge into an opportunity to underline his confidence and command of the issues. The harder the host pushed, the more composed Farage seemed, creating a dramatic contrast that kept viewers riveted. This wasn't just a political exchange, it was a psychological duel. Farage's ability to stay calm while systematically dismantling the host's points showcased a level of poise that few politicians can rival. Farage's triumph in this interview isn't just a personal victory, it's a significant boost for his party, Reform UK. The party has been steadily gaining momentum, and this interview only serves to strengthen its position. For many disenchanted voters, Reform UK represents a real alternative to the entrenched establishment. Farage's readiness to confront difficult topics, from immigration to economic reform, resonates with those who feel ignored by the mainstream parties. Who's the most well-regarded leader today? Remarkably, Nigel Farage now polls as more popular than Keir Starmer, Ed Davey, Rishi Sunak, and certainly more so than the largely unknown candidates vying for Conservative leadership. As Farage continues to show his capability as a leader, more people are beginning to view Reform UK as a credible force in British politics. With each election, the party gains ground, winning more seats and challenging the traditional dominance of Labour and the Conservatives. This isn't merely a passing trend, it's the start of a political movement, with Farage firmly at the helm. Keir Starmer falters in comparison. Farage's strong showing has inevitably cast a spotlight on the shortcomings of his rivals, especially Labour leader Keir Starmer. The differences between the two could hardly be starker. Where Farage addresses tough questions with decisiveness and conviction, Starmer often comes across as cautious and indecisive. His tendency to avoid addressing controversial issues has frustrated voters, sparking doubts about his ability to lead with authority. Farage's unapologetic approach underscores these weaknesses, and the public is taking notice. As Farage gains momentum, Starmer's perceived indecisiveness is eroding his support. The reaction to Farage's interview has been overwhelming. Across social media and in political commentary, the message is unanimous. This wasn't just an interview, it was a pivotal moment. Supporters have lauded Farage as a leader, unafraid to voice his opinions, while even his critics have conceded his ability to dominate the room. Comments like, "This is why Farage is a force to be reckoned with," and "Love him or hate him, you can't deny his effectiveness," have been circulating widely on platforms like Twitter and Facebook. This is more than just one interview. It reflects the larger influence Farage is having on British politics. His ability to connect with voters and tackle their concerns directly is reshaping the narrative in ways that are impossible to ignore. Nigel Farage's live television appearance wasn't just a personal success. It reaffirmed why he remains one of the most impactful figures in UK politics. From his staunch defense of his relationship with Donald Trump to his skill in steering a difficult interview, Farage displayed a brand of leadership that resonates with many. As the interview unfolded, it became clear that Nigel Farage wasn't merely participating, he was in complete control. The host, initially confident and armed with probing questions, quickly found themselves on the back foot as Farage delivered poised and unapologetic responses. Each attempt to regain control was met with Farage calmly but firmly asserting his stance, unshaken in his convictions. One particularly memorable moment came when the host, realizing they were losing ground, tried to interrupt Farage mid-sentence. Farage didn't miss a beat. With a sharp yet measured tone, he replied, "Let me finish. I believe I'm answering your question." His confidence was unyielding, and his words carried a gravitas that left the host struggling to reassert their narrative. Farage wasn't defensive or searching for the right words. He was entirely in command. In a political arena where many leaders stumble or appear hesitant under scrutiny, Farage's self-assurance was striking. The host's discomfort was evident, and as the interview progressed, it became increasingly clear who was in control, and it wasn't the presenter. The conversation then turned to the UK's energy crisis, a pressing issue that has dominated the headlines. The host asked Farage to weigh in on the government's handling of the crisis and whether the current approach was delivering results. Without missing a beat, Farage zeroed in on the matter with unflinching clarity. "The government's handling of this crisis has been nothing short of disastrous," he began, placing the blame firmly at the feet of the political elite. He followed with a bold, sweeping proposal that addressed the root of the problem: Britain's over-reliance on foreign energy sources. Farage argued that the UK has the capacity to be energy self-sufficient, but has squandered this potential due to years of political mismanagement. "We have the resources," Farage asserted. "So why are we depending on foreign nations, many of whom don't have our best interests at heart? Why aren't we drilling our own oil, expanding domestic production, and investing in nuclear energy?" His words resonated with viewers, many of whom are struggling with soaring energy prices. It wasn't just a critique, it was a rallying cry. Farage painted a vision of a UK that could stand tall and independent, free from the volatility of global energy markets. His vision extended beyond energy security. It was about reclaiming the UK's sovereignty in a time of global uncertainty. From there, the discussion moved to the broader issue of political accountability, which quickly became a central theme of the interview. The host challenged Farage on his own political history, questioning whether he was in a position to criticise the government given his past roles. Farage, ever unflappable, responded with measured confidence. "I've been in the trenches," he said calmly. "I've faced criticism, and I've made the tough decisions when it mattered. That's what leadership is about. Standing up when it's hard, when the cameras aren't rolling, and when you don't have a PR team crafting your message." His reply was direct yet profound, striking a chord with those weary of the empty promises often peddled by career politicians. Farage acknowledged that no leader is perfect, but what matters is confronting challenges head-on and delivering tangible results. His refusal to retreat, even when pressed by the host, highlighted his belief that genuine leadership requires not only vision, but also the courage to face difficult questions with honesty. Farage's composure and conviction left a lasting impression, reaffirming his position as a formidable presence in British politics. As the interview went on, the stark differences between Farage's approach and that of Sir Keir Starmer, the Labour leader, became increasingly clear. Sensing an opportunity to highlight this contrast, the host brought up Starmer's recent shortcomings and the growing disillusionment among the public. Farage didn't hesitate. "Keir Starmer?" he asked, a faint smile forming. "Let's talk about Starmer. He's been in politics for decades. What has he achieved? His party is in disarray, and he's incapable of offering real solutions. People are fed up with his inaction. They're crying out for change." Farage's remarks immediately sparked a surge of support on social media. Viewers echoed his sentiments, with many blaming Starmer's lack of decisive leadership for holding the UK back. Farage described the Labour leader as a politician bogged down in image management, more concerned with optics than delivering tangible outcomes. His words struck a chord with those frustrated by what they see as Starmer's inability to inspire confidence or effect meaningful change. Of course, no interview with Farage would be complete without addressing Brexit, and this one was no exception. The host attempted to catch him off guard by questioning the ongoing impact of Brexit on the UK's international relations and economy. Farage, however, met the challenge head-on. Brexit wasn't just about leaving the EU, he began, with the conviction that has defined his career. It was about taking back control of our future, putting the British people first, not unelected bureaucrats in Brussels. Farage defended Brexit passionately, pointing to new trade deals with nations such as Australia, Japan, and the United States as evidence of the UK thriving outside the EU's regulatory constraints. Yet, he didn't shy away from the difficulties that have emerged in the post-Brexit era. Brexit hasn't been without its challenges, Farage acknowledged. But let's be clear, those challenges stem from a government that has failed to deliver on the promises it made. Rather than dodging tough questions, Farage turned them into opportunities to underscore his belief in Brexit's long-term potential. His responses demonstrated his ability to address the complexities of the issue while maintaining his unwavering support for the decision. What set Farage apart, both from the host and many of today's politicians, was his raw and candid approach. As the interview progressed, he shared personal anecdotes, stories from ordinary Britons who had confided in him about their struggles. His tone softened as he recounted these experiences, revealing a more empathetic and human side to his otherwise forceful political persona. "These aren't just numbers on a spreadsheet," Farage remarked, addressing the economic hardships faced by countless families. "These are real people, forgotten by the very leaders meant to represent them." This ability to combine bold, confident rhetoric with moments of heartfelt empathy is part of what made Farage's performance so memorable. People don't just listen to Farage, they feel what he's saying. His words resonate, not only with his supporters, but with anyone who has ever felt their voice was ignored by the political elite. Unsurprisingly, Farage's interview ignited a wave of reactions online. On Twitter, his supporters praised his composure, confidence, and unyielding commitment to his vision for the UK. One user wrote, "This is why we need more Farages in politics. Leaders who aren't afraid to say what needs to be said." Even those critical of his politics acknowledged his commanding presence. Social media was filled with comments admiring his ability to face tough questions without hesitation. This wasn't just about policy, it was about leadership. As the conversation drew to a close, attention turned to the future of Farage's political party, Reform UK. The host, albeit reluctantly, acknowledged the party's growing influence in the UK's political sphere. Reform UK continues to gain traction with each election, attracting voters disillusioned by traditional party politics. "People are sick of the status quo," Farage declared confidently. "They want something different. Reform UK offers a fresh, bold vision for this country." It wasn't just a political statement, it was a rallying cry. Farage's message was clear. The UK's political landscape is shifting, and Reform UK is poised to lead that change. As the interview concluded, it became apparent that Nigel Farage's political journey is far from over. This was more than an interview. It was a declaration of intent. Farage is positioning himself as a leader ready to confront the complexities of modern politics, unapologetically and with conviction. For many viewers, this moment felt like a turning point. Whether they agree with him or not, Farage's ability to command the conversation, speak with clarity, and present solutions is impossible to ignore. But what do you think? Is Nigel Farage setting a new benchmark for political discourse, or is this simply another example of his media prowess? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this analysis, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth coverage of the biggest moments in politics. Stay tuned. There's always more to uncover in the ever-changing world of politics.